So a technology update for utilities management, and the focus of what we present here today is on the geospatial side. So geospatial and water calculation are the topics. So for instance, although utilities is much more than water, we know that in the water companies there are a lot of things to be taken care of. I've done my introduction on BIM and the asset management and the life cycle, etc. But here again also in the utilities management there are certain areas that we take care of with our software and that you will do in your topics. So if you're, for instance, electric network owner, then you will not do hydraulic modeling, but you will do your electric calculations. Right, so and you do your site works, plants maybe if you have a generation plant or substation or a treatment plant, etc. So, but for today, for this presentation, it will be mostly focused at the geo and the water calculation. So again, here there's a whole range of areas and topics that you have to take care of, and we'll do the utilities section. So utilities networks can be an enormous amount of work. What we think is important, and you've seen already also in the last presentations, the mapping side of where are things is crucial. You can use MicroStation for mapping, right? We've done that for years. The 2D or the BIM level 0, maybe you could call. MicroStation was used as a tool to draw individual CAD files. Now we have Bentley Map. Bentley Map includes that MicroStation component, right? So we have MicroStation V8i or Connect Edition. Soon we will have Bentley Map Connect Edition. So that is a 3D GIS that includes MicroStation. Now there's more than Bentley Map, and that is how to manage utility networks. Also how to design utility networks. As well as, if you've done a design, how to manage them. So for that we have a product called Bentley OpenUtilities, and we have it in 3 flavors, or in 3 functionality layers you could say, or in 3 price levels you could also say. PowerView, the smallest, then OpenUtilities Map, and the Designer. Now the funny thing is basically that if you look at the OpenUtilities Map, it comes at a price which is almost the same as MicroStation. So you get everything that's displayed to the left side almost for free. Why is that? Because we want everybody to use Bentley OpenUtilities if you do utilities mapping. Right, so just in a few topics, Bentley Map V8i, or the coming Connect Edition, it is a 3D GIS, so it will do all the registration of your features, all your infrastructure underground with the power of MicroStation, right? So obviously, and I will admit, Bentley Map is not a GIS like ArcGIS server or whatever. I mean, it does not have that scope, but it has a scope to manage all the assets, underground assets, in a geospatial context with the power of MicroStation, meaning you'll be able to design as well as manage. So Bentley Map itself can store the data in DGN form. As you know, that is the MicroStation file format. We have enriched that MicroStation DGN file format with XML data. And so we call that DGN XFM or XML feature modeling. But I think more important is that we can also store and open in different other formats, including databases, including MapInfo and ArcGIS. So the core feature of Bentley Map, and especially if you implement it in a large area, as you will mostly do in cities or in provinces or the whole country, you will use a database, a relational database to store all your data in. So that there's actually a number of databases that you might consider. We support 2 of them. One, Oracle, the spatial storage, and Microsoft's SQL Server, which is, let's say, Microsoft SQL Server is not as function-rich as Oracle, but it is certainly more affordable, especially if you scale it up into the virtual implementations that we will see in the future. So what does this tool, OpenUtilities, that includes all that Bentley map stuff, so storage of data in Oracle, what does it bring? First of all, to be able to manage multiple utility networks, so there will be electric, gas, water, wastewater, district heating, etc. in one session, one product. Although we will have different data models implemented and provided with the product for those different networks. It will do network information management or data management of the location of assets, their connectivity, the topology of the assets, as well as has a design capability if you have the designer version. And actually it can be scaled, from the small desktop up to a large implementation. There are many tools inside that product. I'm going to show you very short videos of the product. It's not always clear for you, but it's also not important to know that some of them may relate to the Bentley map functionality. For instance, if you select a number of consumers that are connected to your network and you want to have an overlay of buffer around the network to find your consumers, that is Bentley map overlay functionality. Thematic mapping and display, all the automatic visualization that you have is all Bentley map technology. On top of that, we can then, with the product, do tracing of the network, making reports out of it, but we can also do the leak analysis combined with what we will see in a few minutes, the water products, right? So if you have a water network modeled, it is integrated with the WaterCAD, the WaterGems products, for instance, leak analysis. The combination is very strong between the two products. Just to show you how the interface looks like, this is basically very recognizable as being Bentley map plus a number of other topics. So we see the SQL Server layers here. In this case, it's an SQL Server implementation. We'll see some of the parameters being used and the features that are here on the right side. So obviously, we can start with a query on the product. So you query on the database, which is SQL Server in this case. And then the query will result the features, which will bring it into the Bentley map window. Right, so there's, if you want, Bentley map, OpenUtilities map, is just a view on the database. You can discard after your work, after you're committed it, you can discard all the GDN elements. They're stored in the database, right? So it's what we're looking at, actually just a view on database features. So we can, for instance, have that a certain valve which is queried from the database, and then of course you can check that valve in the SQL Server Management Studio to be there as well as it is at that moment inside that editing window. So we've added some nice features that have to do with the network connectivity. So where you might want to pick one object which is related to other objects. We call that smart editing, where you'll see an immediate change of the location of objects that are connected to that one object of the network. Now, if you would move here, also the annotation would be changing if it relates to dimensioning. Right, so we have a complete set of information on attributes and location, meaning that if a location generates in a different length, the attributes are changed. Obviously, that will then, after also being reflected inside the storage of the database once you commit to the database. So another topic that we do with the product is tracing, where you can start at a certain point in the network and another point and find a path. Can be different options there. Right, so the feature where the trace is starting is, for instance, here. And in red you'll see the trace being highlighted. I have a small video on that, do I? No, that was the wrong button. Yes, here it is. So this is an electric network. The background is a German base map. And we'll see the trace in the network being done. Switch on my iPhone again, you know, for that good reason of the clocks. So the trace can be done as a shortest path, or it can be otherwise, and we'll see that in the next video. The trace is being done, it's being visualized, in this case also in red, but we can change the color quite quickly by picking another one in a different weight, and you'll see the trace being redone and highlighted. So you can add that to a selection set and then further query the database with that. This is for water, the other one was for electricity. So this one is for water, and we select a trace for a certain pressure zone, and as you see, shortest path is here redundant, and there are upstream and downstream traces that we can execute. First we do a shortest path between one point and the other. Obviously that will generate again that route, as you can expect. And then if we want to know, okay, are there other ways of reaching that end point, then we can do redundant shortest path. So it will show all the routes to that object. Obviously, if you close down one section, it's important to know what the other section, the other route is, right? So that is a principle for all networks, be it communication or gas or water. So those are some of the functionalities that we have on the management side of the data. And then we have that design environment, which comes with a job management environment that will actually control all the actions within a project approach. So the basic design capabilities, as we have included here, are being able to do a design in graphical form, but also at the same time calculate the cost for that. And there's a small video demonstrating it. So it starts with the workflow manager, where there's a certain project that has a start and an end date and a user, and it, in this case, is the relocation and the repair for a certain part of the network. And we have properties on the project itself. These properties can come from another work management system, or they can come from ProjectWise. They can be different sources. We do offer connectivity to Maximo and SAP in the work management part. So if that project is loaded, for instance, it's not only the work that's been loaded, but also the type of material and the costs of the material, as well as the cost of labor. So you see the graphical design environment on top, and at the same time you see a, let's say, an Excel type application running together with the application. Once you design and place equipment, you'll see the cost being added. So it starts here, and there's also a cost on the status bar here. Just look what is going to be, right? So we are now adding features, and you see the cost actually going up. All right, so while you think maybe in that case that you don't like that capability or that certain section of the network, you might delete that section and maybe do another route. Right, so there are many possibilities here that you would be able to follow. So these are the capability of the designer product, which are, let's say, allowing you to control the cost process as well as your workflow of all the project that you have to do inside your engineering work. So in this case, you're actually looking at the electric network, right? So you see some of the features that are here, the poles, the low voltage, medium voltage, you see overhead, as well as the underground bundles that we can use of course, for electric cables. Right, I'm closing this down and just Recapping on the versions, so we have the designer for design management, utilities map for the network mapping, decision support, tracing, etc., and the smaller one to review and explore the data. There's of course still a smaller one, which is the tablet version, but you've seen some of that Bentley Map Mobile products right now. So from OpenUtilities, we can easily transfer into the water calculation products, and that will be for my colleague Tomas.
I have a short input from my side. I was asked to do a bit update or introduction of our HAESTAD product, so I skip into the Frederik presentation, try to handle all these. I will talk about the proven technology. Bentley got all this knowledge thanks to the acquisition made 10 years ago of American company named HAESTAD, because with water it is not such easy like with electricity and communication, because if you have pipe which is going down, of course on a down part is a bit higher pressure than the up, so it has some beauties and some mathematics which is not so, which cannot be necessarily applied in case of electricity. So this is a proven technology used by many companies, but what was important for Bentley was integrate this technology into our design packages, and lately as well to the OpenUtility package, because if I can tell the area where Bentley is strong very much, it is the modeling and it is the things which are doing with infrastructure. So that's why we're talking about it all today. So the water and wastewater packages are integrated into our solution, connected with the OpenUtility, and it includes the specific packages, and now I'm talking with the people who probably never heard about that, which are particularly allowing you to design the water network. This is the product we have in second in the line. This is WaterCat, which allow you to do the design and some calculation of the new water network. WaterGems, which includes much more functionality, including some analytical things, some network modeling and optimization of existing network, which is kind of a superset of the WaterCat, and includes beside the other also specific packages for the particular task like connection to the SCADA, because for instance, if you would like to calculate where the leakage happened in your system, means where the pipe is losing the water, you can calculate it much more precisely if you know the real-time, up-to-date data from the network. So that's why we have a connector to the SCADA, because then you cannot dig half of the city, but you get very precise location where the leakage in your network is happening. And of course, it is then for sure saving a lot of money to the utility company. And then another one I mentioned beside the others, this is the module which name is Hammer, which has such typical name because it is able to do the analysis of the dynamic flow into the pipe, because with water it is not so easy like with electricity that you switch off the pole and you have immediately segment. Without electricity, with water, it causes some dynamic flow in the network, which can cause potentially some damages in case you will close or open the valve in a wrong order or in a wrong combination or something like that. For the sewer network, Bentley has the same. Again, it is connected with our utility solution, with the Bentley OpenUtility, and additionally, and Frederik will continue in that, it is connected to our open roads packages, because this is not just about the sewer, but about the stormwater, which is, if you have a new road or something like that, you have to take care about that, what happens in case of storm, where the water can flow out and not to damage your infrastructure. So the more or less the similar set of the modules of or softwares and packages we have available for the storm and sewer, SewerCat for the design of a sanitary sewer network, SewerGems as a superset of SewerCat, which includes as well the analytical module, which you can use for the various tasks, and not just for the network which is going the stormwater out, but also for the open network. You can create the reservoirs and ponds thanks to that, and calculate how big it should be, optimize the network in between, and optimize the size of these equipment which are connected to that. So that was for the people who never heard about our solution, and I have then a few additional slides for the people who were already introduced. Just one note in the beginning, these software are available for 4 different platforms. You can use them standalone, you can use them in a tight connection with the Bentley MicroStation. You can use them also with the AutoCAD environment. So if you have AutoCAD, you can still buy additionally these packages to be able to do these analytical things and to model stuff. And also you can share and exchange the information with ArcGIS packages. So if you have an existing network which is described in ArcGIS, you can upload them into the water packages of Bentley and perform some optimization or analysis based on the topology and information you get from this ArcGIS database. So we are still supporting these four platforms. Of course, our tighter connection and the faster development is, I think it's clear with the Bentley and with the MicroStation packages. We did improve also the performance by application of SQLite database, which replaced the old database where we stored the information about water network. We did upgrade the packages to the 64-bit support, which again is supporting performance and speed of calculation and the size of the model you can include in this. And with latest release, we have a few other enhancements like support of Bentley Map Mobile. You saw some examples from FREC, digital terrain models, which were upgraded in MicroStation, so they are available now in these packages as well. And a few other things, including some hydrology tools and infiltration methods, new interface to the SCADA Connect, and extended support of the platform and operating system. So the latest version of Autodesk and of Windows are supported in that, which is obvious what happens with the new releases. If I should stress some advantages of our packages beside a strong connection to the robust modeling platform, which MicroStation is a very proven and rich set of analytical tools. With the Bentley water packages, you don't need to be, or let's say, you don't need to spend so much time with configuring your analytical task or your network. It is usually much easier to start with the Bentley solution rather than with the others, like for instance EPANET or Mike. You will get the result much faster, and it is, let's say, simpler, even if you really need to be good in water modeling, because of course this is very specific discipline. Then of course this is connected disciplines and departments, so allow you to reuse this information across departments thanks to this integration. And I'm skipping to the last point, and this is again which we spoke today, explaining our approach to BIM, and this is interoperability. So the intention of Bentley is not replace your existing solution, but enrich, reuse of your data in some other modules, in some allow you to do some other functionality to getting additional result and benefit from existing, not to push you to replace all the solution and start with a new product from the scratch. So this is kind of interoperability I'd like to stress, which is also applied to the development of water and wastewater packages. So that's all from my side, and I move back to Frederik. Thank you.
Okay, then a short section on subsurface utility engineering. The subsurface utility engineering is an add-on a module. It's not inside the modules that you've just seen, but it is basically addressed to those situations where you have a project that needs to be undertaken, and that can be the making of a new crossing, for instance, or the displacement of a road or whatever. Any situation where you have a project within a certain constrained area, let's say a few hundred meters or a kilometer or whatever, where you need to integrate all data from different sources into one model. So the subsurface utility, or also called SU, subsurface utility engineering, it has a calculation component which is called SUDA, and that is the water, wastewater actually calculation tool, comes with that product set. But let's say we have just heard about those capabilities. For now, subsurface utility is focusing on getting information on the underground. It is a process that would include getting data from different sources like AutoCAD drawings, like databases like ArcGIS, like Oracle, SQL Server, MapInfo, whatever. And it is really focused at bringing those all together, including the capability to visualize, like say, ground-penetrating radar surveys. So the whole idea is basically to have every control of the underground that you really need in order to do your design in the correct way, to know the consequences of your actions, and subsequently avoid the big risks that you have in cost, in time, in annoyance of the people who live in the street, and all those very well-known issues. So while I'm not really going into a big detail of how this product works, I can show you what the results would be in case that you have brought together all those different data. Now I'm back referring to the point cloud data, which you all know very well. So this is before the reality modeling, but the beauty of the point cloud data basically is that it's capable of visualizing quite well the underground infrastructure. So we can open up sections, for instance, and then display what we have as an integration between the point clouds and all the network below. So you see the ground penetrating radar section, and you see the different pipes that are recognized and brought into the model in order to be visualized. Wastewater below, and then gas higher up, and right. So this is another section that we can open up and then and review. So I think it's clear that integrating all those different data sets inside one model is actually bringing us a lot of benefit. And I can show it a little bit better that if you really go to roadworks, for instance, then you can do it as an instruction set, basically. So, for instance, there needs to be done something here. You have the measurements from the GIS, for instance. There comes the reality model picture inside, as well as integrated with the point cloud and the data that we have as a complete, instruction set for the field. Suppose they can work with this kind of tools, right? So because you can use them in mobile tools and iPads and what have you. But quite clearly, it's one integrated model, being able to prepare in the office and hand over to the field work. So that is basically, now I'm doing one more section, I have more time, which is the mobile. I want to quickly show you some of the things that we do in the mobile area. You've seen this from ProjectWise. There is a tool called Bentley Map Mobile that is almost looking like the ProjectWise tool, like the ProjectWise Explorer, or as for a matter of fact, the Navigator, where the basis of that is actually the iModel that you heard before, that can be exported from the GIS, OpenUtilites in this case, and then brought into the interface of the mobile application. So what you're looking now at is a Windows app, but the app is totally the same on Android and iOS. I can show you on my telephone if you want to. I don't want to, but it is possible. And it has a capability to integrate again all that data from raster and vectors, including that section of all the attributes that are available for the different objects. So basically what you do after you've exported, you're using it in the field for instance, doing measurements, But not only that measurements, there's a red line capability, as you know and understand. And those red lines, together with the provided network, are then brought back into OpenUtilities. So this symbol here and that annotation here is inside that Bentley OpenUtilities layer, so that the back office then can update the inspections from the field inside the database. Right, so there's an example, there's one user in the UK, Western Power, that won an award last year with this technology. They have actually 3,500 iPads in the field with this mobile mapping technology. That actually concludes my presentation for the day.